Merry Christmas 2021. This year's book is The Christmas Cottontail by Carol Michael. And actually, Carol's a friend of Grandma's. It's a story for gardeners of all ages. If you follow the winding path from Santa's castle down past the stables where the reindeer live, then walk towards a little grove of pine and fir trees, you'll find a cozy potting shed with an attached greenhouse nestled among the trees. Inside, it's warm and bright and full of activity because that's where the Christmas Cottontail lives and works. And there's a good map so you can follow along. He and his helpers are quite busy most years, year-round, preparing for his Christmas Eve responsibilities. Some of his helpers are busy as bees because they are actually bees, helping to gather up seeds of all kinds of flowers for the Christmas Cottontail to sow in the gardens of the good gardeners. The bees have to watch out as they work, lest they get run over by little critters scurrying frantically back and forth like chipmunks, because they are chipmunks, helping organize all the flower bulbs for the Christmas Cottontail to plant. Look at that busy workhouse. In the midst of all this buzzing and scurrying about, the Christmas Cottontail is sitting at his potting bench reviewing his list of good gardeners and bad gardeners. Once he has that list sorted out, he has to cross-reference with it to a list of different gardening zones so that when the time comes, he knows exactly which seeds to sow, which bulbs to plant in each good gardener's garden. He also decides which gardeners have been especially good and puts their names on a list for the under bunnies to take up to the main house to add to Santa's list. Then Santa and his gardening elves will decide which helpful books and tools those especially good gardeners should receive. Here he is looking at his list. When it gets a little too hectic, as it does most afternoons as the holiday gets closer, the Christmas Cottontail likes to take a break and reflect on how he had the good fortune to end up with such a wonderful life. Munching on some carrot and green bean cookies and sipping some pink clover tea, he gathers all the bees, chipmunks, and underbunnies around him and tells his story. What do you think his story's going to be? The Hall of Holiday Hoppers. A distant relative of the sweet little Easter bunny and the devious Halloween hare and the Christmas Cottontail was discovered by Santa Claus on one of the earliest Christmas Eves. He was just a tiny little bunny back then, nearly starving. He was trying to get some of the carrots that someone left out for Santa's reindeer. See him nibbling on the carrots? Taking pity on the poor bunny, Santa took him back to the North Pole and named him the Christmas Cottontail. And there's Santa taking him back. Of course, everyone knows that no one at the North Pole gets to sit around eating carrots all day. So, over the next spring, summer, and fall, Santa and his gardening elves trained the bunny how to properly scatter seeds and plant bulbs with a flick of a whisker. Now, every year, the Christmas Cottontail checks his list of good gardeners and bad gardeners, packs his seeds and bulbs, and flies off with Santa and his reindeer. At the good gardeners' homes, he scatters the seeds and plants the bulbs to bloom at Easter time. At the bad gardeners' houses, he stays in the sleigh and waits for Santa. And there he is with his bag of goodies. At every house, he looks for carrots left for the reindeer and sneaks a bite or two for himself and then gives the rest to the reindeer. Gardeners then have to wait until spring to find out if the Christmas cottontail visited their gardens on Christmas Eve. If there are blooms in the early spring, it means the gardener was good and the Christmas cottontail worked his magic. If there are no blooms in the springtime, it means the Christmas cottontail decided the gardener was bad and stayed in the sleigh. By the end of the story, the bees are nodding off and the chipmunks and underbunnies can barely keep their eyes open. They've all heard this story many times, but they love to hear it again and again. And when it's over, they are refreshed and ready to get back to work. And as they work, they discuss how they've never been busier. Apparently, many people are taking up gardening these days. Look at the little chipmunk on the hives. How about that? When Christmas finally arrives, the Christmas cottontail will be worn out from all his planting and join Santa for a well-deserved nap. Both will be dreaming of spring. The end. Merry Christmas.